Shalom, Boker Tov, everyone. It is Thursday, April 23rd, the 14th day of the counting of the Omer. And I want to offer this morning a teaching in light of the Torah portions of this week. We're still in the book of Leviticus. We are in Tazria Mitzorah. And I want to focus specific on the Torah portion called Mitzorah. So a Mitzorah is sometimes translated as someone who the focus is on this idea of a person who's a leper, who has lesions of some kind on their skin. Biblical scholars have understood that it's not really leprosy. I'm forgetting the name of the disease, but it's another type of skin disease. But it's not specific leprosy. It doesn't really matter for this ethical or moral teaching around it. Bottom line is it's someone who has this type of skin lesions. And this person, according to the Torah, relevant to now, in the sense that this person has to go, when this lesion is discovered, they have to go quarantine themselves. They have to go out of the camp, far away. And in the course of that dynamic, as you read in the Torah itself, they go out of the camp. They have to go for a certain number of days, usually 7 days. And the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, has to go out, look at the person, look carefully at the color of their lesions on their skin. Has it changed? Has it not? And only then can the person come back after the great Kohen Gadol, the high priest, can bring that person back through a ritual as well. So the Mitzorah is this person who is an outcast, someone who's deemed as impure because of their health condition, again, relevant to today. So one office teaching in the name of Rabbi Moshe Tarragon, a rabbi I've mentioned before who I listened to his podcast, who reminded me of this teaching. I actually heard these teachings before, but I want to offer them because he kind of brought them back onto my heart and to my mind. So, two teachings about this. One is, when someone is an outcast or someone is outside of society, someone, you can only imagine the emotional pain that someone would discover if they have this disease on their skin. They would be scared, they'd be worried, and then they're sent away. This is pre-Netflix, okay, pre-internet. They're really put separate from their family, from their community, from people, all alone, outside of the camp, really an outcast. Now, it's being done in ancient times for safety purposes, perhaps, but still, this person's going to be alone, and we understand what it means to feel isolated and alone, how difficult it is for up to, a week or longer. What's powerful about this going on the outside is you'd think this person has leprosy or Hansen's disease. That's it, Hansen's disease. Maybe they're worried people are going to catch it. I mean, who knows what they were worried at that time. But of all the people to go out and actually address, look carefully, get in there, close, to see what's happening and to evaluate for this person who is suffering, but also perhaps, the person, the high priest, imagine, might be scared himself. Who goes? Do you send some lonely peon in society? Do you send someone? No. You send the highest person with the highest status in the entirety of ancient Israel society. The high priest himself goes out, goes to the person, goes carefully, looking exactly at the wounds to witness and see. This person, who on the one hand may feel the most isolated, the most insecure, the most vulnerable, the most outside the camp, both literally but spiritually, the leader goes out to him and takes care of him. And I think, of course, of our medical professionals today, who run towards people who are suffering, not away. But even so, even stronger, what is a test of a leader? Is a leader takes responsibility for those who are on the outcast, on the outside of society, those who are suffering, not to some others, but the highest level. This is their highest concern, to the intricacies of the person who is suffering. Abraham Joshua Heschel once taught, his teachings on the prophets, so beautiful. He said, some people say, what does God care about some lowly widow in ancient Israel who, is suffering from, some injustice? I said, God cares. God has pathos, he would say. God has feeling for the poor, the widow, the orphan. Why is it all over the prophets of the Torah, of the Tanakh, over and over? because that is what God cares about the most, and God goes to them. Those who are the weakest, the most vulnerable. That is what a leader, the ultimate leader, capital L, does. That's teaching 1. And teaching 2, it says in the Torah, Vehuva el HaKohen, in Hebrew. It didn't say that the Kohen just goes out. It's, first of all, when this person has this disease and discovers it, Vehuva is passive, and he is brought to the Kohen. He is brought. It doesn't say who brings him, it just says he is brought, which implies, though, that it's not that he walks himself to the Kohen for the first time to be evaluated. Huva, he is brought by others. By others. So yes, the Kohen is going to go and look in deeply and address and really see that person's pain. But others in the community are going to hold that person's hand and bring him to the Kohen. So not only is it about the high priest's job to be there, be attentive, take the greatest risk. A great leader sees the vulnerability and sadness, the outsiderness of a person. That's 1. But 2, the community does it too and doesn't let that person walk alone. The community, Huva el Kohen, brings him, escorts him, walks him. The sign of a great community is its ability to walk with its most vulnerable, to care for those who feel as outcasts on the outside, for those who are scared. That's the greatness of a community. The obvious, comparisons today, analogies today are, there are those with coronavirus itself who are feeling, can imagine, themselves suffering, but even on outcasts. But even more, those today, there are some people who are targeting, God forbid, Asian Americans who have nothing to do, but because of the whole Chinese virus, it has led to anti-discriminatory, disgusting behavior towards ignorant behavior. There are people that feel vulnerable right now, just even the isolated, those who feel lonely. The job of a great leader is to go to them, to see them, to address them. And the job of the community is, when you see someone suffering, is to bring them to those who can assist them. Not to leave them alone, even if you're not the expert, but to bring them to whoever you think can be of the greatest help. I see this all over our society today. One of the things I'm inspired by, I give examples on the negatives, but the truth is, there's so many times that people are doing this work as a society. They're thinking about what our country has done. In many places of the world, in this ultimate crisis, we've come together to bring, to care for others. Huva el Kohen. And a great leader's job is to see that person. Each of us, in fact, can be that kind of leader. We don't have to wait for the Kohen Gadol. We can see people. We can attend to them. Just witness them up close. At social distance. Over technology. That's what people want to feel, that they're not left alone. And that's the teaching of the Mitzorah, of the Torah portion, Mitzorah. Shalom, Boker Tov. May we all feel safe, healthy, and not alone in our vulnerability. This beautiful day. Shalom.